Hello, everyone. My name is Jose. I'm here with GLAAD and with three LGBTQ experts on voting and the upcoming midterm elections. This is Vote for Your Life, First Time Voter Surge. I'm going to pass it over to our panelists now to introduce themselves.
My name is Aiden Cohn-Murphy, and I am the founder of Gen Z for Change.
I'm Javier Gomez. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm an LGBTQ plus activist, organizer, writer, designer, you name it.
Hi, my name is Xander Moritz. I'm the executive director of the C Alliance, and I take he, him, his pronouns.
Great. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to jump right in. So as you know, the midterm elections are coming up. In some states, voting has already opened. So from your perspective, what issues are most important for voters to pay attention to this election season?
I would say reproductive justice is a huge one. With the House Republicans just introducing a national "Don't Say Gay" bill, it is very clear that queer rights are also a big part of what's on the ballot this November.
I also think that definitely queer rights, abortion rights, the inflation, economy, anything that involves just basically democracy it's on the ballot this year.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit. For the overturning of Roe v. Wade is, for the first time in a lot of our lives, a very significant introduction of a rollback of rights. What do you want other young people to know about how to fight to restore those rights and keep moving forward to expand?
I would say that it's important to view your vote as just one tool that you have in your civic engagement toolkit. So your vote is one of the tools that you have to affect change, but it is not the end of your exercise of your power. And your vote is additive, and it should happen simultaneously alongside protests and organizing and lobbying your members of Congress to codify Roe v. Wade.
It's really important that we use things like these rollbacks on reproductive rights as metrics of where our society are and as a point of awareness for us, but we cannot use that as how we fuel our fights, because we always use points of tragedy and loss of rights and of life as how we fuel our movements. And pain is a great energizer, but it's not sustainable, and that fear and that hurt isn't going to last years. We need to demand better quality of life for ourselves and for others, even when our quality of life is not being attacked. We should constantly demand better, even in regular fine times.
So I want to pivot a little bit to the anti-LGBTQ bills that are being introduced right now. There's been hundreds introduced this year, over 200. What message do you have for those lawmakers and for people who are supporting those bills?
I always say this, and I will always say it to the day I die. We are here, we are queer, get used to it. That's always been my motto when going with this, because we've seen in history, historical events have shown that, in the 90s, the 80s, 70s, queer people have been suppressed in the government, in society, whether it be legislation or just being in the streets and being called slurs. I mean, it's been a prominent thing throughout history, but we've never seen, they might try to suppress us. They might try to fight back and call us really horrible names and be bullies. That's basically what it is. But we're never going anywhere. No matter how much you try to suppress us, no matter how much you try to really hold us down, we're always going to spring back. And that's what we're doing right now.
I love that sentiment. The cycle isn't over. Like, maybe you're succeeding right now. Maybe the harmful legislation is being passed, but that's because the wave of retaliation has yet to run its course. And history has shown us that time and time again, we are still here, we win, and we're going to keep, we're going to earn marriage equality, we're going to earn statewide protections, we're going to earn access to trans-affirming healthcare, and it's just only a matter of time. Xander, again, I'd love to pass the question to you. What message do you have for these folks who are introducing anti-LGBTQ bills, these statewide politicians?
I don't really have anything to say to them that I can say on a youth panel or anything that will go on social media. So I'll instead direct my words to the people that are actually listening, which is the queer youth. And it's just a reminder that the queer community is unique for so many reasons. But one of the main ones is that we've always had to earn our community. Inherently, the only reason we exist as a community is because we put ourselves out there. We make ourselves seen and heard, and we find each other, and we grow together, and we support one another. So when we do that so successfully, and when that happens at such a rich level in the youth population, that's a threat to people that want to see this structured in society remain. And so that's why public schools, and that's why young people are being attacked, because we're doing it so well. So my reminder here would be that the only reason queer students are being targeted is because queer students hold the key to tearing down the society. They are living freely, they are challenging everything, and that is intimidating to people that benefit from the control of the society we live in now. So while prioritizing your health, prioritizing your safety, making sure that self-care is the center of your practice, keep pushing back, keep speaking out, because the only reason your rights are being attacked, the only reason your lives are being attacked is because they hold a lot of power.
So thank you for saying that. That was exceptionally powerful. So I'm curious, as youth activists, how would you get people who are too young to vote, maybe they're 17, maybe they're 16, maybe they're younger, to get involved in politics? I'm sure all of you have some experience there.
I would say, well, so when I founded TikTok for Biden, which eventually became Gen Z for Change, I was 16. And what I would say is that there are so many ways for people who aren't able to vote to get involved in politics. There is phone banking, there is door knocking, there is volunteering for local campaigns and in local elections. You can be a poll worker in most states if you're 16. There are, and also just relational organizing in terms of talking to your friends and family who are able to vote and making sure that they have a plan and that they are educated on all the elections.
I think emphasizing the importance of midterm elections, because I think we've seen this this like great outcome in presidential elections, but then it kind of falters when midterm elections come, and that's something that we really need to drastically change, because a lot of the work is done in local elections and just local level, local and state level. So I definitely think that phone banking, volunteering, anything that really pushes the envelope of pro-democracy candidates that are fighting for our rights, that are fighting for the sanity of our American democracy, and just really voicing your opinions, because youth opinions matter a lot. They matter significantly when it comes to how we see the future of the stability of our country. And just voice your opinions, and no matter if it's a co-op, no matter if it's a news article, no matter if it's just you in the streets just shouting and really protesting, your voice matters. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter where in the world, your voice matters.
Gen Z wants so badly to get involved and to make a difference. We've grown up our entire lives with every tragedy and crisis exploding on our cell phones. I think the difficulty for so many people is finding, one, where they can make an actual difference, and two, where they're going to be supported to actually hold some leadership and to drive something in an actual direction. And so to people that want to make a difference, I would say go to www.crpower.org. Really, what Javier said was right. It's about local elections. It's about looking at your communities, understanding and addressing the problems that you know and that you live. And what I have tried to do for the last few years, and what we do at the Sea Alliance, is really just connect young people to places they can make a difference, because it's not, the political and organizing space is not designed to make it easy for young people to get involved. It's not. It's hard to find the right politicians to support. It's hard to find where you can go and be involved in a community. It's hard to find where you can actually do real groundwork and make a difference. So if you are interested in that, I would say, obviously, in a self-promo world, come to us, come work with us. We really want to connect you to places you can make a difference. but it's really looking at your communities, looking at the problems you understand and coming up with solutions, because no one in the world is going to understand how to fix what's going on in your community better than you. So tap into that, start working with the people in your community, get connected to independent support systems like like things that can't be manipulated or controlled by the government, and make sure that you're building community. Like we touched on earlier, you cannot sustain a movement off of fear. You can sustain it off of hope, direction, and community. And you're going to need to find that in spaces that aren't school now. So be on the lookout for those and find ways to, in your direct space, just push back a little.
This is our last question. I'm curious, what would you tell someone who says my vote doesn't matter?
What I would say is that, I mean, there's the obvious line, which is if your vote doesn't matter, then they wouldn't be trying so hard to restrict it. And that your vote matters as one of your tools to making the world a more just place. And if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where exercising that right is not incredibly challenging, then I would strongly encourage you to do everything in your power to make the world a more just place, and part of that is often voting.
There's this ongoing narrative that voting is counterproductive, and it really isn't. It's not at all, actually. I think now more than ever, voting has become kind of a protest, with the ongoing efforts to suppress voting and then having a faulty system such as the Electoral College. I mean, all of it is different facets and factors that really go into why voting has become this really hard thing to do, but it's something that's super important. And we've seen it with the 2016 elections. I mean, these narrow elections, these margins are so narrow that a single vote can do so much more difference than you might think. So I think it's really important that, you know, with everything that's going on, with all the challenges that are being implemented with voter suppression laws, with voting ID laws, with whatever it is, if you have the ability to vote, do it. It's not gonna harm you. It's actually gonna benefit you and benefit the people of your community and people of other communities that sometimes don't even have the option to vote. Maybe because they're undocumented immigrants, maybe because they're being directly attacked by these voting ID laws. Whatever it is, it's super important to vote. And if you have that power, we all have that civic duty to do it, but if you have the ability and the privilege to go out of your way without being directly attacked, do so. It's so important, and you're helping other people more than you ever think.
Before we wrap up, I wanted just to give an opportunity to pass you all the mic one last time. If there's anything that you feel like we haven't covered or anything that you'd like to say to first-time voters, to youth voters, to someone who is maybe looking at their ballot as soon as tonight to mobilize them, what messages might you have? I'll start with you, Aiden.
If you have not made your plan to vote yet, hearing this right now is your call to do so. It will not take you long. It will take you 10 minutes at most to make your plan. Do it.
So if you really do have that privilege to really go out, vote, or have your voice heard without facing a certain amount of discrimination from politicians or people in general, please do so, because as much as we amplify those voices, the more power we get in the vote, and the more radical change. I will emphasize this, radical change, so crucial, and I can't emphasize this enough. You know, with Lawrence versus Texas and the dissenting opinion with they want to overturn same-sex marriage and sodomy laws and whatnot, and healthcare for gender-affirming healthcare. All of this is determined by governors and state legislators, and really that is the reason why we go vote. Presidential elections is one thing, but midterm elections, wait.
Xander, last words before we wrap up here.
Vote to defend your rights, or they will then steal your right to vote, and then you will have no rights.